We are now recording. How's everyone doing? Welcome to day 2 and welcome to your commitment
Well,
to even make it back. If everyone can make sure that you're muted, right? So welcome back and welcome to the commitment to yourself, to your business, to even your future clients, to make sure you're showing up for yourself to learn all this great information that you need to learn. Now, as I was kind of like looking through the comments of the biggest takeaways, I'm going to tell you guys inspire me. I've gotten like some feedback, even on my DM. I had one person who said that she wants to have a wellness center all over the world. Like she wants to use her knowledge and she wants to use her impact to open up wellness centers all over the world. So that's like amazing. Can you imagine how many lives with all this mental illness going on, with all these things going on with people right now? Can you imagine how many lives that would change? I had someone else who mentioned that she is in the disability space and she wants to create a travel show where people with disabilities, they'll be able to learn how to easily maneuver. Well, we can't say it's not going to be easy, but better maneuver how they are dealing when they're traveling, right? Like crazy stuff. So these are like people who are, technically they're career coaches, they're leadership coaches. They help executives, they do different things in their field. They're even VAs, but the big thing is that's not what their message is about. So remember, your message to your audience is not necessarily about, I'm a career coach and I help women over 40 get back into their career. What's the bigger picture? So let's kind of like do a recap of yesterday as we move into this. Do you have your workbook? We're on day 2. Does everyone have their workbook? And biggest of all, good. Did you guys do your homework? So as we start to recap and go into what the rest of the week looks like, let's start with day 1, right? Day 1 was the foundation. Why is LinkedIn even an important tool right now? And even understanding that LinkedIn is LinkedIn, just like Facebook is Facebook, it's how you use the tool, it's how you get the results. So you could have 100 people using it the wrong way, but doing things every single day. And you can have 2 people who are just showing up maybe twice a week and they get better results. So it's all about how you use it and how you're able to maneuver it. We went through a framework on how to position yourself as an industry expert. We went through a framework of how to understand your value even. When we talked about that PAVE, that a lot of people got benefits from the PAVE platform, right? The framework. Biggest of all, what I've been hearing from a lot of people, vitamin versus aspirin. So which one are you? How are you showing up in your business? Because the level that you show up for your client base, the messaging that you put out there, the way that you articulate your message, the clarity of the message, the things that you're really passionate about is the value of the price that you're going to get. So we never want to forget that vitamin, but it's an oldie but goodie, by the way. We never want to forget that you want to show up as a solution that is that's an aspirin problem. Let all the others show up as vitamins. That's okay. Someone needs to be a vitamin, right? Someone needs to be a vitamin in this space, but let's make sure that you're showing up as the aspirin. So knowing all this, knowing you are the aspirin, I want to take you through something really quickly because like I mentioned, you guys inspired me yesterday. Like you inspired me even to show up bigger and bolder for people who say someone who wants to build wellness centers all over the country, right? All over the world, not even the country, all over the world. So what will they need? So now we're going to go into LinkedIn. They need strategic partners, possibly. They need investors. They need champions who are going to make introductions in rooms they've never been in. Obviously, they have the potential clients, but they need the potential clients. They need people who are going to collaborators who are going to help them share the need. They need visibility. So this helps me to say, okay, I need to show up even bolder to get in front of people like that so I can help them to find these partners, these investors, all of these people that they're going to need to make their dream come true. They're going to need real estate people. I think I have a few real estate people in the room. So how can you show up the right way in order to get in front of this person who wants to build different wellness centers all over the world? So I'd love for you to share in the chat right now, what are you an authority in? How are you going to show up over even the next 30 days, right? Because we're coming towards the end of the year. Companies are making decisions. People are making decisions on how they're going to spend their 2022 budget. So if you can share in the chat, what are you an authority in? Go ahead and share it, and I'll share with the room too for everyone who cannot see it right now. So what are you an authority in? Tony Brown's an authority in instructional design, but we're going to go deeper. What does that mean for your people? Guys, I'm all about clarity. Here's the thing. You can learn how to turn on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn through Google, right? But this is all about what is our messaging? What is our positioning? How are we going to show up in front of those premium buyers and speak to their need because that's what they want? So yeah, we can figure out how to turn on LinkedIn and how to post a post, but what you really need clarity on before you do any of that, you need clarity on what's going to make you stand out as the obvious choice in the market. What's going to make people go into their budget and say, okay, I didn't think I had it for this person, but for you, we have to find the $25,000 to bring you in to sort out this big problem, this big, painful aspirin level problem that we have. What is going to make you the authority in their mind? So we have Natalia, who's an authority in stress management and well-being for millennials. Love it so much. Jade is an authority in, oh, that went really fast. It was something I saw with the write-in space. Suzanne, Judy with living a full life with multiple food allergies. To help you out a bit, what Judy is doing, by the way, it's a healing. There's a lot of people suffering in life, and it's been decades that they've been suffering in life with these food allergies. It's more than food allergies, Judy, I'm going to tell you that right now. It's definitely more than food allergies. You're giving people a better sense of well-being, and you're helping them to have more happiness and joy in their life. Guys, what would happen if someone was, okay, maybe you know someone like this, maybe they were born blind, right? We've seen those YouTube videos with the babies that are born with very poor eyesight, and all of a sudden they go to the doctor or they find this miracle cure. They put their glasses on them and you see that baby's face light up for the first time in their life. They were able to see images that they could never see. They were able to see the face of their mom and dad. They were able to see balloons. They were able to see a lot of different things. So I want you to remember that, Judy. That's what you're doing for people, by the way. I think we kind of downplay who we are and what we have to offer, and then we undervalue ourselves. And as a result, other people undervalue us too. So glad to have you guys here. So excited. Let's start to move on to day 2, right? Day 2 is all about how to make sure that your profile is set up in the right way. Once again, messaging and positioning. LinkedIn within itself is a search engine. So how can we set up our profile that even if we're not on the platform, I'm a big advocate that you do not have to be on LinkedIn every hour of the day, right? Oh my gosh, arrest me. Someone who's a LinkedIn expert actually said that. So how can you set up your profile if you don't want to be on the platform every single hour of the day, that you're getting business, you're getting inquiries, you're getting speaking engagements, all of that is going to come up for you anyway, right? And what I tell my clients, typically when we think about your profile area, that is 70% of the business. That can be a difference between a $1,000 speaking engagement or a training opportunity or client and a 10, 20, and 50,000. Because whether people hear about you from someone else, a friend of theirs, and they Google your name, or they see a piece of content out there, and then they look you up and they see your profile, they make decisions in there. This is human nature, right? We make decisions in our mind about people based on what we either hear about them or we see on their profile. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have already gone and looked at my profile. Maybe even before you signed up for the class, you were like, okay, let me see what she's really about. And then you looked at my profile, right? So how many other people do you think are looking at your profile, today or over the past week? That reminds me. So let me tell you something very interesting. It almost like it breaks my heart when I hear things like this, because there are some people who are like, oh yeah, my profile's fine. I have everything filled out. LinkedIn even gave them a false sense of accomplishment by saying that they have all-star profile. They've told them that, but yet they go into their search appearances and they have maybe 10 or 20 search appearances. And typically, I'm gonna let you know, if you go into your private panel on LinkedIn, it's gonna be your private dashboard, you'll see all your numbers. So typically you wanna have search appearances above 50. People see that they have search appearances, but like I said, every single day, someone is searching for you on LinkedIn. So let me tell you the story of someone who reached out to me a few weeks ago. And this is like after she what you don't want to do, guys, is reach out to someone after the fact, after you become frantic, right? So she was a little frantic because she went for an opportunity. It was for not really a contract, but for a bigger client. It was a smaller company, but for her, it would have been one of the biggest deals for her career as a business owner, right? So they have the meeting, they have a few calls, everyone is like super excited, they're on board. They didn't really discuss money yet, but they told her that, this is something that they've been looking for a long time. I'm not quite sure how they were introduced to her, but I know it wasn't necessarily on LinkedIn. So that day when she reached out to me, they had reached out to her and they said, sorry, it's not a fit right now. We don't see this as a fit. So she reached out to me because she was like, okay, what's going on? Before I even continue this, how many of you guys have ever been in that situation where you thought you would have this amazing client or this amazing contract, and either they said the money's not there or it's not a fit right now? Tell me about that. If anyone has ever done this or been through this, because what I've noticed is it happens a lot. When we see, and this is what we see people who we know that we can help, that we know that we can have an impact on, and they don't necessarily work with us, they work with someone else, and we see the person they work with, and that person is, I hate to say this, but on the level of mediocre. Like, it's just like they're great at talking about what they do, but their background and their results are not really aligned with who they really are. So how many of you guys, I'm gonna check the chat, share in the chat if you've ever been in situations like that where you're just like, okay, here's what's going on. I wasn't able to get this contract before because of X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna see. So Crystal said yes, and she tries to look at the search appearances. Well, we're talking about, okay, Jill says that yes, this is something that she has gone through. Dana has gone through it. Yes, Ruby has gone through it. Vermis said not yet. So this is probably about not putting yourself out there enough, right? Not putting yourself out there enough. Once you do, we don't want to hit that wall, but Ebony, Riza, Renata, Sylvia, a lot of people, yes, a lot of people. So here's the thing, guys. What happened with this person? So when, I took a look at everything, looked at those church appearances, looked at even the people who viewed her profile, and that night before, one of the managers from that company that she wanted to have this contract with, they viewed her profile. So I can't really guess what happened, but if they looked at her profile the day before, they were still considering her. So yeah, it kind of breaks my heart. I don't want anyone to be in that situation where, because you know when you're right for a deal. And what I want you guys to, I also encourage you to do, and I encourage my clients, if you know you're not right for a deal, it's okay to walk away. It's okay not to take the menial scraps that they're leaving for you when you know that there's a budget in there. So what I don't want to happen to anyone in this space, and it's going to happen. If you put yourself out there, it's going to happen. But we learn and we get better and we do better with each time. So today we're going to talk about how can we make sure that everything is set up just the right way on our profile, that when someone comes to our page and they take a look at our profile, they take a look at our headline, they take a look at everything, there's zero doubt in their mind that we are the solution. We are that aspirin that they've been looking for. And even more so, whatever fee we ask for, based on our fee that we know we should command, that's not a problem for them because they're going to make it happen, right? All right, so let's go through our workbooks. We're going to first start off with the 9 elements of the LinkedIn profile. This may surprise you a bit, but we're going to go through it. I'll take my time and go through it and then walk through each step, okay? So when we think about our LinkedIn profile, and I mentioned this yesterday, LinkedIn within itself is a search engine. Every single day, someone's searching for what you have. You get to determine, you get to create this narrative, whether they're going to work with you or whether they're not. So you get to decide that. So and I'll go through really slow for those of you who want to write things down. So your LinkedIn profile, it must pull your ideal prospects from other parts of the ecosystem, right? So whether they are on LinkedIn already, but they don't yet know about you, so they're on LinkedIn and you put your piece of content out there, it must pull it back to your profile. They type your name up in Google, that must be something that aligns, and they're not necessarily going to type your name. I shouldn't even say that. because one day someone reached out to me and I said, I always ask, how do you find out about me? Because when I see someone without even a presence on LinkedIn, he said, I actually Googled LinkedIn marketing consultant and there were no other people. You were on the top of the list. There were no other people that came up. Guys, there are other people with that search in their name. However, I did it the right way. So when he typed the name, he found someone, and obviously my profile and everything else is set up the right way. It was set up the right way. So when he typed it into the Google or wherever he typed it in, I was the first one that came up. So that's the first job of your LinkedIn profile. When we think about the elements, it must pull ideal prospects from other parts of the digital ecosystem, right? And you'll know that by your profile views, and you'll know that by your search appearances. Angela, I saw her comment. She said she has 521. Amazing. So yeah, the more that you have, and this is within a 7-day period, right? So that means 521 people. Can you imagine that, guys? This is free. 521 people searching whatever keyword she used, they were able to find her over a 7-day period of time. No, it's 7 days. Can you believe it? It's 7 days. Yeah, so every single Wednesday, you'll see a new number, Angela, on Wednesday. Every single Wednesday, you'll see a new number because those are when the search appearances reset itself. So good job, Angela. That's a great job. Yeah, surprising. Wouldn't it be good if it was 90 days, but it's even better that it's 7, right? So step number 1, make sure we're checking those numbers. I have my clients in my academy every single Thursday, because like I said, it comes out on Wednesday. But every single Thursday, when we meet for Q&A, we go over, like they're supposed to take a snapshot of their dashboard, and we take a look at those numbers, right? And we have to figure out what's important to you. What is your goal? And we take a look at those numbers. All right, big one. Number 2, your LinkedIn profile must establish credibility, authority, and create more visibility for you. And when you think about that, here's, we have credibility pieces, we have authority pieces. We discussed yesterday that PAVE technique, where how do you now position yourself as an authority? Just like in the chat when I said, what are you an authority in? A lot of people are afraid to say, I'm not gonna say, should I say afraid? Afraid, or they feel weird to say they're an authority in anything. They think that they don't have enough experience. I speak to some people, they said, I just have 10 years of experience doing this. And I'm like, really? 10 years is a lot. 10 years of being able to master one thing, that's a lot, guys. That's a lot. And for you, if you don't think you're an authority in that space, now you're giving someone else an opportunity, and opportunities are amazing, but someone who is not an authority, someone who is not an expert, they're going in and helping clients. And for those even in the healing and wellness space, they're going in and helping clients, and they have no business helping these people. They don't have the background. They don't have the credit. Not even the credibility. They don't have the knowledge, the insight. They don't have the certifications. They don't have the experience to do that, but they're willing to help people that they shouldn't have really any business helping, right? So number 2, establish your credibility, authority, and also build trust. That's going to be demonstrated. What I would like for you to do too, as I go down the list, I'm going to explain, but I want you to start, this is going to be part of your homework. Start listing the things that you don't yet think that you have that you need to work on, because this is what we're going to work on. So we're talking about building the credibility, authority, visibility, and trust. That's demonstrated by the number of inquiries that you get weekly, right? So think about the number of inquiries that you get weekly, and understand if you don't get a lot, give yourself a timetable. I like to set everything with numbers. If you don't have a lot of inquiries on a weekly basis, then you know that something needs to be fixed. You are not on LinkedIn just to waste time and hang out and chat with people and share a post. Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. You're on LinkedIn to grow your business, grow your brand, make more money, impact the people that are on the platform, meet with strategic partners, meet with investors. Whatever you're on LinkedIn to do, it's not just to hang out. And if it is, then you might be in the wrong room, because that's not what I teach. I don't teach how to get popular on LinkedIn. I teach how to get profitable. All right, so we think about that. Like I said, that's demonstrated from your the number of inquiries that you're actually getting. And we don't count those spammers who are like, Hey, Cheryl, I'd love to talk to you about my new X, Y, and Z gadget. I didn't even ask you if you need it or if you're interested, but I figured I'm going to send this to 500 other people, so you might as well get it too. Yeah, that's not an inquiry. All right, guys, those people are always fun. I make sure that, and I'm going to give you this simple trick. You want to make sure that you're not accepting everyone and anyone, just like you wouldn't accept anyone and anyone into your home. You don't want to accept anyone and everyone into your LinkedIn home. Protect your energy, protect your space, have your boundaries, be willing to say no. Right? All right, number 3, your LinkedIn profile, and we did a lot of this work yesterday. Your LinkedIn profile must clearly communicate your value. Because if you cannot demonstrate to someone the value of what you offer, they're not going to understand. They're not going, and you cannot get, bothered or upset by people if they say they don't have the money in the budget or something else is going on with them, or they're making excuses when just last week you have a colleague that was able to get like a $5,000 or $10,000. It's not always just about contracts, but even clients that that you're able to help, and that there is a budget there and they just don't see the value. So your LinkedIn profile must clearly communicate your value, right? And also that's going to be the headline. When you think about the headline, that's going to describe specifically what you do for your clients. Make sure you're differentiating yourself from everyone else because you want to stand out on the platform, okay? And it's okay to get creative with it. Obviously, it's going to depend on your client base. You don't want to get too crazy, but you want to be extremely clear with how you communicate things. So I've seen, when I see profiles that say, I am a colorful architect of life. Comment in the chat. How many of you guys understand what colorful architect of life means? Would you stop on that profile, or would you go to someone who just says that I help you clearly communicate your message? So think about how you're doing it too, and make sure that you are not the one who's saying I'm a colorful architect of life. I am a brand storyteller and I help people communicate their message. I don't even know if they're a brand storyteller, but let's just make sure they are, right? Let them understand completely and clearly the value of what you offer. All right, number 4, I see this a lot, and if you're doing this, please go ahead and change it after this class. Your LinkedIn profile must be in the first person. It should not be, Janet is a great 30-year strategist with so much knowledge. Janet just loves working with companies all over the world. This is personal, guys. This is not necessarily, we talk about B2C, B2B. This is what we call, it's human to human. They're doing business with you as a human being. They're not doing business with your logo. And please, if you have a logo as a picture, go ahead and update that too, okay? Go ahead and update that too. So your headline must clearly communicate that message. You must make sure you're right in your bio area, and that's your about section in the first person. That's going to humanize your brand and also establish a connection, right? People do business with, it's cool that they like you, but doesn't mean that they trust you to take care of their needs. So people do business with those that they trust, though it doesn't mean, and I don't have to necessarily do business. I have hired people without knowing them by just seeing 2 of their videos. I don't necessarily have to know them, but I know, because I trust my gut. I know that if I work with them, I'm going to get the results that I need. Make sure that people are trusting you, okay? So number 4, your LinkedIn profile must be written in the first person, no third person, no telling a story like you're an author, and that the bio of your book is fine to do third person, but not on your LinkedIn profile, okay? All right, number 5, it must differentiate you from others in your industry. So what I see, clearly I'm connected with a lot of career coaches, and I think people make a mistake by calling themselves a career coach, or people make a mistake by calling themselves a life coach, because everyone is doing that. So now you are fighting against the machine, because when LinkedIn decides, the algorithm, by the way, is what I call the machine, when the algorithm decides who to share your content with, who to share your profile with, everyone's gonna sound the same. You never wanna get lost in the sea of sameness. Your goal is to get heard way above the noise. Make it easy for your people to find you. Make it easy for your people to reach out to you, because that is the only goal. Like I mentioned yesterday, there are so many people in this room with a powerful message, with a powerful purpose, with power in the work that they do. but no one is hearing their message because they're not necessarily communicating it in a clear way. So I want you to make sure that you are the person that people reach out to first. And it doesn't have to be first, but you're the ultimate person. After they've looked everywhere and inside of the glass jar, they find you, and there's no doubt whatsoever in their mind that, okay, this is the person I've been looking for. I feel it in my gut. I trust them. It's a done deal, right? That's number 5. So like I said, remember guys, start to write down your 1 through 5. I'd like you to be able to spell it out. What parts do you think that you need the most help with? We're going to make sure that Q&A, of course, any questions you have, continue to share it in the chat. Any questions that you have, we're going to do a bonus Q&A session on Saturday. I would love to be able to help you guys to get to the level of success that you really deserve and desire, right? So number 6, we're going to talk about your LinkedIn profile. How are we grabbing attention? How are we going to start to captivate attention so we are heard above the noise? And it's not necessarily what I see what people do, guys. What we don't want to do is we don't want to take things that we are sharing on Instagram and Facebook and automatically repurpose it onto LinkedIn, because that's not serving you well, right? Everyone has different languages. All the different platforms, they speak different languages. And if you now take the message that has maybe worked for you in the past on Instagram and you attempt to use it on LinkedIn, now you're going to get lost in the noise because they're not speaking that language. They're speaking a completely different language. So you have to be able to master that language. And once you've mastered that language, you're captivating your interest and you're even stimulating some attention from them, enough to make them want to go to your profile, because you have about 3 seconds. Once someone comes to your profile, of course, they see that beautiful banner image, right? They see your photo, they see your headline. That headline is going to be able to grab them. Now they go to your about section. Think about your about section. The very first line of your about section only has one job. Can anyone tell me? I know it's not an easy one, but can anyone tell me what is that one job that your very first line in your about section has? Just go put yourself out there, guys. It's okay to put yourself out there. If it's wrong, but put yourself out there. Add value, purpose, authority. All right, good stuff. It's going to catch attention. Yes. So the very first job of that first line is to make them go to the next, to help have them see more, to press more, just like your content, right? The only job of that very first line is to grab their attention so that they open it up and see more. So make sure you consider that as you're putting together your profile, as you're putting together your homework. We have to start to consider things, and we have to be honest with ourselves with what we're missing, and what the gap is, so we can fix it. It's okay to say, and this is also the high achiever. I know I have a lot of women on right now, and a few guys who are in that high achiever space, right? They've always been able to figure things out. Things have always worked out when they're doing it on their own, but we have to be at this point in our lives. We've worked way too hard trying to figure things out on our own. We have to be in a place now where we're honest about what we don't have. I know it's coming from a good place, but I always cringe when I see a coach and say, someone's like, oh my God, I'm suffering. Everything's going on with me right now. And a response, I see a coach say, you got this. And yes, I know it's in a good place, but as high achievers and strong women and guys who always have it, figured out, and when we reach out for help and someone says, you got this, and we don't, how does that make you feel? Like we want to be okay with sharing if we are going through things and we need help, okay? All right, number 7, we have to have a profile that has undeniable social proof. So that's demonstrated by the testimonials that you have. So LinkedIn has a place for endorsements and testimonials. We want to make sure we have recent testimonials, right? Meaning in the last 3 months, how many relevant and real testimonials do you have from people that you've either worked with or you've actually collaborated with? So I'll tell you the difference between a good and a bad testimonial. Let's start with a bad testimonial. Angela was so fun and comfortable to work with. I really enjoyed the time with her. She's so much fun too. That is Angela's a great person. Thanks for all you do. That's a bad testimonial. Can anyone share why? I'm gonna have you guys do some work. Share why that's a bad testimonial. Angela's such a fun person to work with. She is a great person to know, and she's actually funny too. Yep, Anna got it. Not about results, no detail, very vague, not specific enough, says nothing about the person. So a good testimonial. I worked with Rachel over a period of 6 months, and during that time, she was able to get me from a point where I couldn't even figure out how to set up my systems to be completely clear on how to automate this. If you are stuck in a position where you can't set up your systems, you need to call Rachel today. Mixed up the names, but you get it, right? You get the difference between what one does and what the other does. So make sure that you have that relevant social proof. I don't care if you have 30 fabulous testimonials. If you don't have one that has relevant social proof, you're not going to be considered when people are looking for someone who has your abilities, right? So number 8, your profile must align with, we talked about brand voice a little bit yesterday. Your LinkedIn profile must align with your brand voice. That means your values, your mission, and your purpose. And in order to understand what that means, we have to know what our purpose is. We have to know what our values are, right? Like when I think about the work that I do, and as I'm building out my academy, my goal is to graduate over the next year 50 in my academy, sorry, just for women, but to graduate 50 women out of the academy. And then a portion of them, they're gonna accumulate so much wealth that as a combination of the work that we do, we're giving $1 million back to a charitable organization combined. So you have to think about, why are you really doing this? Because if you don't have that motivation, when the days are not going the right way, when you don't see results right away, you're gonna wanna give up. You're gonna wanna give up anyway, but if you have those values and the passion, and you have someone who comes and they read that and they can align with it, and they get you, and then they trust you because that's what they're going through too, they're gonna wanna work with you. Let me, I'm gonna go through the last one. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what this 4C framework. So we have one more, right? We have number 9, your LinkedIn profile must facilitate next steps for that potential buyer. So what do they need to know next in order to work with you, in order to have a conversation with you, in order to contact you? I remember I had the shock of my life. I encourage you, if you have a number that you want to use, I encourage this. I had the shock of my life when a number, and I don't typically answer my phone. So I received a call on my phone. I answered it. Hi, this is Deborrah, hoping that it's like, okay, I don't want this to be a telemarketer. And it was someone who just found me on LinkedIn, and he's a consultant. So he was asked to help someone open up I can't remember, it's a learning facility out of New York, but he knew that he needed, so this is how your client base would work too, guys. He was tasked as a consultant to open up a learning facility in New York, but he knew that they would need to have a LinkedIn presence because the CEO, they wanted to make the CEO the face of the company. So do you see all the little things? It doesn't have to be a direct client. So let's go through these 9 elements again. As part of the homework, I would love for you to share where you think you're missing. It doesn't have to be everyone, but if you can point out everyone, you can start to fix it. And then I'm gonna go really briefly into how you can now leverage, once you fix this, how you can leverage your network. It wasn't part of day 2, but I want to start to make sure you can connect the dots on how you to really use LinkedIn. So number 1, I'll say it as slow as I can because I know I talk really fast, right? Your LinkedIn profile must pull your ideal.
I can't even hear.
If we can mute Tamisha. All right, your LinkedIn profile must pull ideal prospects from other parts of the digital ecosystem. And then you're going to see that by your profile views and your search appearances. And like I mentioned, you get new search appearances every single Wednesday. You'll see how many search appearances you have. Your goal is to make sure that it grows, right? So number 2, your LinkedIn profile must establish your credibility, your authority, and specifically visibility too, but it must build trust. And then you know if you're doing good by the number of inquiries you get on consistently on a weekly basis, right? So number 3, your LinkedIn profile must clearly communicate your value. And then that's specifically like, why would someone be okay with figuring out their budget or going into their budget and paying to work with you? So we're going to demonstrate that easily on what is that statement on the headline that you have that communicates that value, and even what's inside the profile area too, right? All right, big thing, because I want you guys to show up as a human and to be able to properly connect with people. Your LinkedIn profile must be written in the first person to humanize your brand. If you feel you don't want to do that, it's up to you, but I really, really recommend that if you don't have it written in the first person, I don't care whether you're the CEO of a company with 50 people, it must always be in the first person to humanize your brand. That's how we build trust. Number 5, your LinkedIn profile must differentiate you from others in your industry. Number 6, your LinkedIn profile must captivate interest as well as stimulate the attention and conversation. So once again, that's demonstrated by the number of inquiries you get weekly. If you're captivating inquiries, you're captivating attention and you're stimulating conversation, people are having conversations with you on the platform or they're reaching out to you in a DM, okay? Number 7, your LinkedIn profile must have undeniable social proof. And we went through that in somewhat of a detail, but most of all, the important things to make sure the testimonials that you have, they're actually recent. They're actually recent over the last 3 months and not something from 2 years ago, right? And they're relevant. And then number 8, your LinkedIn profile must align with your brand, voice, value, mission, and purpose. And then finally, your LinkedIn profile must facilitate next steps for that client base. So let me just really, really quickly, I want to start talking about when I mentioned I had that call from that guy who was brought in as a consultant to help build out this learning facility. And in turn, he wanted me to come in under his wing, because obviously they're paying him a lot of money to do this. So he's taking the budget, or he's going back to the owner with the budget of bringing someone in to help them to build a LinkedIn presence, right? When we think about when you build your network on LinkedIn, you have, and this is something I reference, it's not going to be something you necessarily look up and find. You have your 3 C's. You have your potential clients. You should be able to know who those people are based on who you help and how you help them. You'll be able to identify those people. You have your potential collaborators. So a collaborator is someone who they have access to the large audience that you need. This is part of increasing your visibility. You guys you collaborate, you don't compete on anything that you do together, but you getting in front of their audience will benefit them and their audience. And obviously vice versa, it's going to benefit them. An example of a collaborator could be someone who has a podcast, or if you do a speaking engagement and you get in front of 7,000 people who are in the audience, that person's the collaborator. So we have the potential clients, potential collaborators. Then you have the potential champions. Those are the people who are introducing you into rooms that you've never been into. They have access to people with deep pockets. They fall in love with your brand. They fall in love with who you are, and they're okay sharing your posts. If you've ever been on LinkedIn and you've had posts that people have shared multiple times and over again, I just had a client of mine from the academy where she had a post go viral, and she had, I think, because I always tell her, make sure that you're at least thanking the people who share your post. And she said it's up to 50 people at this point, but we make the time. So if you have those type of people in your life, very valuable, guys, very valuable. So that's similar to the guy who called me in to help this big company who wants to create a learning facility, right? So now we have to start to think about who are our potential clients, collaborators, and champions. But more importantly, before we even reach out to people, before we start to connect with people, we want to make sure these elements that's inside of our LinkedIn profile, that we have them fixed so we don't become our own bottleneck in our business. All right, so let's go ahead and share in the chat. Tell me, out of the 9, and be okay with it. This is a safe place. Out of the 9 elements that I named, how many do you think you probably have to work on over the next 30 days? So if you're okay, go ahead and share that in the chat. How many okay, so all, that's okay, Judy. 8 of them, all Melanie. See, we're all in the same place, right? 3 of them, Odette, all 9. We're okay, guys. Here's the great thing about this. I had a call with a few of you guys, obviously before, like last week. And I said, you know, when we think about wins from what we get, I even talked to my academy clients about that. We discuss wins, not every single week, but sometimes. I said it could be clarity. So the great thing is when we discuss wins, and if you want to share in your in the chat so far, tell me about that clarity that you got, right? Tell me about the piece of clarity or your win for today. So when we share wins, clarity could be that win. And I have told a few people that I had calls with last week that clarity might be the only win that you need right now. That's going to get you to the next step. So tell me about your win today. We can even do yesterday and today. What was the biggest win for you? Clarity indeed. Clarity indeed for Judy, for I have a lot of things to fix today and think about. Clarity is everything. Clarity can take you from making $5,000 a month to making $50,000 a month easily. You don't need the mechanics. You don't need anything else. Sometimes, and I've always worked with coaches who are at obviously a different level than I am, right? Where I want to be. And they said they have invested like double digits into a program, and only one thing is what they took from it, but that's all they needed. So when you, and even think about this, depending on your field, but think about this when you're working with a potential client and you're trying to sell them a program that has 30 modules. You know, here's an example of someone I spoke to a few weeks back. They say, I help busy moms to simplify their life. And then they told me that they're selling a course, not making fun of them, but they told me they're selling a course that has 30, they said it's high value, it has 30 modules, it has this. But what busy mom has time for that, right? So you want to think about a lot of these things whenever you're putting together your offers, putting together your profile, putting together everything. So I'm so glad that you guys were able to join me today. Please keep sharing. Go ahead and share in the comments. Go ahead and share. If you are in the Facebook group, you don't have to be, go ahead and share that. And most of all, if everyone has their homework badge, it will be up within 30 minutes. Go ahead and share how many of these pieces, and specifically if you want to name them, grab your homework badge, share it in the group. How many of these pieces do you know that you need to work on? We can only get to the next level in our business and in our life and everywhere else that we want when we're being honest with ourselves, okay? And sometimes we have to have that difficult conversation with ourselves, right? All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you. Stay tuned. Guess what? Day three is about, now we have these pieces where we have clarity on this profile piece. We have clarity on why we're valuable. We have clarity on how to use the LinkedIn profile. Day three, which is tomorrow, is now how to build out a $250,000 revenue stream, just LinkedIn alone, right? For some people, that could be in a year. For some people, hopefully that could be in a month. But how can we now use LinkedIn to build out this $250,000 revenue stream? And how do we break that down step by step? I'm going to make sure you guys are customizing this for yourself. So I'm going to break down the model, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to customize it depending on your goal. Some people will say, I just want to do 100,000. I'd be happy with that. Then you're going to customize it to your goal. Okay. All right, guys. So glad you're here. Oh, day 4 too. Just want to kind of wrap up what the week will look like. Day 4, I'm going to have one of my clients come in, and she is going to talk to you about this mindset shift that she had to go through in order to start to get these big contracts for herself. Day 4, we're going to have some bonus sessions, but we're also going to do profile audits. So as we do different things, I'm going to award people a free profile audit from me. You're going to come on Friday, and we're going to audit your profile according to these elements. And then Saturday, we're going to do Q&A, okay? All right, guys, stay tuned. So glad that you were here today. Glad to have you inside the academy if you choose. But if you want, we need to hear from you on the homework. Go ahead and drop that in the group if you're in the group, okay? I'll chat with you soon. Bye.